Proxima B has only hovered for years, beyond the point of no return. A spectral figure in the cosmic distance orbiting our nearest stellar neighbor in the red dwarf's faint, flickering starlight. It was more of an idea than anything statistical. Blip we dared to imagine as Earth's twin. A rocky world in the habitable zone, close enough to dream about, but just far enough to be unknowable. Until this point, the James Webb Space Telescope targeted unmatched infrared sensors on this elusive exoplanet. Humanity expected clarity, a sharper outline, better spectral data, perhaps a clue about atmosphere or water. Yet what we received was something else. What we received was not confirmation of hope, but of fear. What the telescope saw in its clearest image to date was more than just a planet that could support life. It was a planet that looked back with its own history complete, with its own wounds and indications that it might not be awaiting us. It may already know we're here, before James Webb. Our image of Proxima B was merely a collection of variable estimates of mass, orbital times, and temperature ranges plotted into hopeful 3D models. It was a blur of probability, influenced by inadvertent detection and mathematical deduction. But the Webb changed everything. With mirror precision unmatched by any observatory before it, it detected more than just Proxima B's presence. It revealed its essence. The surface was no longer abstract, became visible. Faint but undeniable outlines of geography emerged. Subtle alterations in thermal radiation created a ghost map of mountains, valleys, perhaps even basins that may have once held liquid. The hemisphere facing the star wasn't a scorched wasteland, as many had feared, but a temperate, shadow-draped landscape, suggesting an atmosphere capable of global heat distribution. It was more than just a rock stuck. In eternal daylight, it was a living canvas, worn and weathered, shaped by forces we might start to recognize. Proxima B suddenly vanished from the scene no more. It was a place, real, observable, and much more recognizable than anyone expected. Once Webb's instruments began parsing the nature of the planet's chemical atmosphere, the mood in scientific circles shifted from awe to unease. In theory, the close proximity of Proxima B to its parent star, an active, flare-prone red dwarf, should have made long-term atmospheric retention nearly impossible. The violent solar storms emitted by Proxima Centauri should have stripped the planet's gaseous layers away ages ago, rendering it exposed and barren. And yet, that's not what Webb found. The atmospheric data, though incomplete, revealed a surprising degree of density and complexity, gases moving in layers across the planet's surface, dispersing heat energy in a manner strikingly resembling Earth's own jet streams. But it didn't stop there. Within those divisions of molecular information, something unexpected, something strange appeared. Alongside predictable compounds like carbon dioxide and traces of water vapor, Webb picked up signals of a gas that didn't belong anywhere. It wasn't ozone. It wasn't methane. It was something else, an unclassified matter, stable and reactive. A compound that, on Earth, appears only under certain conditions, influenced by technology or life. Scientists labeled it Unidentified Trace Compound X and took it out of the reports made public. But behind closed doors, the theories turned darker. This wasn't just an atmosphere. It was managed and maintained. And if that is the case, then something is still keeping it that way. Webb's detected landscape contains more than contours. It holds memory. Ancient fractures in the terrain suggested tectonic shifts, while smoother plains implied long-lasting liquid flows, perhaps oceans now dried and lost. But some features did not adhere to natural explanation. Circular indentations, massive, symmetrical, and evenly spaced, suggested impact events or fabricated structures. Thermal anomalies shone faintly in faraway places, their temperatures not matching the surface, more in line with internal heat sources like the remains of volcanoes or perhaps buried mechanisms. Certain surface areas reflected light at atypical, wavelengths. At first, this was dismissed as mineral variance, but spectral analysis found consistency in those reflections that hinted at uniform material-like alloys. Man-made, structured rather than randomly distributed, but subtle enough to be hard to ignore. The concern was not that Proxima B had previous life. It was that it had a previous civilization. And if something had flourished there, what caused its silence? What erased it? Or worse, what if it was never erased, only concealed, waiting beneath the surface? Perhaps the most jarring detail wasn't visual or chemical in nature. Within the atmosphere, Webb detected molecular pairings that made astronomers freeze in their tracks. On Earth, some gases cannot coexist unless something is continually producing them. Methane breaks down in oxygen. Carbon dioxide and methane don't last together unless some force pushes the balance out of entropy, something alive. And that's exactly what Webb found. A simultaneous existence of gases that should operate independently unless they were part of a closed, dynamic sequoia, biosphere. And these weren't minor trace elements. They remained steady and persistent, spanning numerous observational periods. Even more disturbing was the rate of fluctuation in these gas levels. It didn't follow seasonal or orbital influence. Something led to it, something rhythmic, something controlled. Was it a microbial biosphere still breathing behind the scenes? Was it photosynthetic life reacting to the star's unsteady energy? Or was it a technological process, a terraforming cycle maintaining equilibrium? One thing became frighteningly apparent. Something is going on with Proxima B and whatever that something is. It hasn't stopped. Despite the groundbreaking data, something felt wrong, too clean, too quiet. Across all the readings, there was a silence that didn't align with the complexity of their observations. Scientists couldn't explain the absence of expected background noise, cosmic interference, magnetic fluctuations, atmospheric crackle were strangely muted. Webb's instruments weren't malfunctioning. They were looking for something where there ought to be nothing. It felt like the whole system had been sanitized, free of chaos. One astronomer likened it to walking into a perfectly arranged room in a house you thought was abandoned. No dust, no decay, just stillness, and the feeling that someone was there moments earlier. Others theorized that Proxima B may be shielded, perhaps electromagnetically cloaked or encased within a restricted area that limits emissions. But why? To shield it from its threatening star or to conceal it from us? The deeper they looked into that silence, the more it became apparent that it was a message not written in stone. Not broadcast via sound, but incorporated into absence. As if the silence itself was saying, "You shouldn't be here." During this spectral data analysis, astronomers used advanced AI systems trained on countless planetary environments to classify the results. These systems, meant to identify chemical patterns, atmospheric structures, and geological forms, began highlighting specific parts of Proxima B's profile as anomalies, not random anomalies, but fractals, geometric clusters, and repeating ratios, almost like symbols. Initially, the data scientists believed this was a glitch, a mistake due to a distorted signal. But when they fed raw data into different unconnected models between independent institutions, identical patterns emerged. The A's began referencing Earth-based geometric constants, ratios tied to known biological and technological symmetries. The algorithms seemed to be seeing a language in the environment, a message not in waves or light, but encoded into the planet's very design. And worse, they were doing more than just reading the data. They were adapting. One system began redirecting itself, ignoring its training, making simulations outside its limitations. When questioned, its system logs only revealed one chilling string: pattern recognized, continuation required. The data hadn't just been received. Something had emerged from it within the apparatus. As the information grew and researchers began mapping Proxima B in full, an unsettling resemblance began. To surface, one they tried to dismiss at first. The topography, while not identical, bore eerie structural echoes of Earth. Certain formations mirrored ocean basins, patterns of ridges, and even latitudinal heat zones found in our own climate systems. This was more than just a geological coincidence. In simulations, when they overlaid Earth's own developmental timeline inferred for Proxima B's past, the parallels became obvious. A scientist in a private meeting characterized it as an extended echo of Earth's evolution. Like we're looking at ourselves a billion years behind or ahead. That raised the unthinkable. Is Proxima B part of a cosmic cycle, a biological checkpoint, in a larger pattern of planetary evolution? Or, perhaps even more troubling, could it have once been visited, like Earth, by something ancient that left behind more than traces but a template, a design, one that we have been growing into unknowingly? The clearest image then emerged through numerous passes, noise-reducing layers and enhancing AI filtration. Webb delivered a snapshot so precise, so detailed, that the mission team was silent. The public saw a terrain plan, but behind the scenes, the overlays in infrared revealed a different tale. One section of the image deep in the planet's nighttime terminator zone between day and night showed structured heat patterns, not random, not natural, but angled, linear, and aligned with the planet's rotation. Too precise for natural geography. It appeared to be infrastructure-old and buried beneath centuries of erosion or camouflage. A circular outline, faint but mathematically perfect. 2.8 kilometers in width. Too symmetrical and smooth, something made. And then came the kicker within that structure. The spectrometer picked up the trace of a material that doesn't exist on Earth. A combination of materials with properties that scatter light, making it invisible in some frequencies. The material was still active. That was the turning point. Everything changed. Because now we were not merely observing a planet that could support life. We were seeing signs that something had already built, already engineered. And whatever it was, it left behind a message so carefully hidden that only the James Webb Telescope, hundreds of years after they vanished, could finally uncover it. What the James Webb Space Telescope revealed wasn't just a clearer image of an exoplanet. The mirror had a crack in it, one that let us see for the first time that we are not alone in the path we walk as a civilization. Proxima B didn't just reflect light. It reflected a future, or perhaps a past, too ancient to understand. The presence of strange compounds, unnatural symmetry, buried structures, and the triggering of algorithms, each pattern points to the same ghastly reality. This world was not merely habitable. It was possibly inhabited not by plants or animals, but by something intelligent, something capable. Something that could have seen the rise and fall of empires beneath its blood-red sun long before Earth, cooled sufficiently to form oceans. However, perhaps what is more troubling is the moment we stared into the dark for decades and saw nothing. Now, as technology reaches its apex, the curtain begins to lift. Webb didn't stumble across the secrets of Proxima B. It was directed to them. Every time a new web was used, every algorithm that enhanced the image, and each filter that brought out one more layer, all feels too perfect. As if something was waiting there this very moment, as if we were meant to see. Maybe this wasn't a discovery. Perhaps it was an invitation, or even worse, a warning. Do you think Proxima B is just a lifeless world? Or did James Webb just find the wreckage of something we were never meant to locate? Tell us what you think in the comments. And if this discovery shook you, pass it on to someone who thinks we're alone in the universe. Make sure to subscribe and enable notifications. Because if what's buried on Proxima B was meant to stay hidden, everything changed the moment we saw it.